From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Wake up! Welcome back. Let's do it. It's Wake Up War Chant, part of the WarChant.com family. Use the promo code WarChant30 for 30 free days of access to the ultimate Seminole sports source. Again, WarChant.com. Check it out. Follow us on social media. WarChant, Wake Up War Chant, Corey_Clark. You can find my handle on the Wake Up War Chant page. And subscribe, rate, review, unsubscribe, resubscribe. Tell all your friends about it. Tell all your friends, seriously, tell all your friends about it. I still can't get over the fact if you're a Florida State fan, you don't follow us or War Chant.
Yeah, that's inconceivable. If
That's
you're
Corey
on Twitter,
Clark, by the way, everybody.
yeah.
Hi, Corey.
It's inconceivable if you're a Florida State fan. Number one, you're listening to this show, so you probably do follow us. But if you don't follow us, obviously you're on Twitter, go follow us. And then tell your friends. You must have other friends that are Florida State fans.
Yeah.
Tell them how awesome we are.
I was looking at some tweets about Tiger winning the Masters the other day, and this guy had FSU in his handle. The photo of him was in an FSU shirt. He was following 125 people. He wasn't following me, which I'm not that big of a dude, but big of a deal, IRR. He wasn't following you guys, wasn't following War Chant. I really want to almost tweet a guy and be like, "What? Are you one of those? Are you really a Florida State fan? He's got the new logo and everything."
Oh, right, sure.
He might be
must
a
not
post-James
Yeah,
kind
he
of guy.
doesn't know yet. He doesn't know yet.
Get aboard. Figure it out, everybody. This is an authentic article. This is legit. You guys want to bother me about being a booster? Follow us. Subscribe, rate, review, all that.
What does that have to do with you being a booster?
Everyone bothers me. You're not a booster.
I know, but are you going to be a booster if you get enough people?
No, I can't be a booster.
Oh, okay.
I can't be a booster.
You can't, really?
I really
legitimately
can't.
Okay.
Yeah, Gene talked about it.
So my ex-wife is a booster.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
I still give her money.
Oh, that might be.
You know what I'm saying?
Might be laundered somehow.
I guess. Hey, Shane, I guess I have to stop giving you money. I don't want to break any laws. I don't want to get the Florida State in trouble.
Stay tuned. Later on the show, we will unveil our new segment called "Just Throwing It Out There," where we'll talk about Game of Thrones.
But I haven't seen it yet.
What?
I was in New Orleans last night in Biloxi for a friend thing, and I couldn't.
What was that? So that was just a one-day trip?
So I think I mentioned. I can't remember if I mentioned on this one or headlines
you did
or
mention
both.
On this.
Okay,
your
but
friend Carlos.
My friend Carlos that passed away last April. His birthday was April 14th, which was Sunday. So a bunch of us met. Probably 8 of us met in Biloxi.
That's good, man. For being a bunch of 40-year-old dudes meeting up a year after somebody passed away. 8 of you. That's
so
good,
his sister organized it. His younger sister organized it, and I'm like, yeah, we'll definitely be there. So we met in Biloxi because there was impossible. It's like some. I can't remember what it was. French Quarter Fest in New Orleans. So hotel rooms were ridiculous.
There's always something going on, man.
So we couldn't really lock down any place for us to stay in New Orleans. So we stayed in Biloxi on Saturday night. Did Biloxi things, and then got up on Sunday. My buddy had rented a van, and there were 9 of us in the van that drove from Biloxi to New Orleans, which was like an hour and a half. We met up there and we did the second line parade, which is the funeral. Which was what was bizarre about it was, obviously we're filming some of it as we're marching. Number one, I didn't know we got a police escort, which we did. It's like a real funeral. It shuts down, and it's in the middle of New Orleans. So it's like a block over from Bourbon Street. We're on Royal Street or Royale Street, which is a really big deal.
Yeah.
So they're blocking traffic for us for 25 minutes. 30 minutes, I guess, as the band plays and the lady with the umbrella dances in front.
Is it lively music or is it
a
dirge?
No, it's lively music. It's jazz music. Yeah, it's that stuff. Yeah, there you go, buddy. So that was for 30 minutes we did that. And it was really neat, but there were a bunch of people on the side filming us as we walked down the street because they're getting to see a second line parade, which I guess they don't get to see all the time.
And they also probably think you guys are big deals. They're probably tourists and don't know what's going on. Like, is that Matthew McConaughey? Is he in New Orleans?
Why are the Saints walking down the middle of the street?
Drew Brees? That's Drew
Brees. So that was what we did last on Sunday as we did the second line for him. It was really cool. It was his sister's idea, but it was really neat. I was like, man, it's sad though. It's weird because it's supposed to be a celebration. That's the weird thing. It's like the I don't know, the odd dichotomy of that is it's supposed to be a celebration. And I'm like, who'd love this? It's Carlos. And then that just makes you sad again. Like, he'd be the one that would be leading the parade. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's why we're here. And he's not here. So that kind of ebbed and flowed with the feelings. But mostly it was a really good time, perfect day. So that was fun. So I did not get to watch Game of Thrones. And, in fact, I didn't even get to watch. I had to watch Tiger win on a phone.
Tiger Woods, y'all.
Because we were in the car going there.
Let's go. He's back, man.
That was crazy. That was really neat. It was really neat to watch that. I mean, we wouldn't have done that I like Koepka, obviously. It was fun, but I wasn't rooting for Brooksy there on the 17th and 18th hole. I didn't want him to make that.
Careful, Corey.
Well, he's going to – but also I know Koepka's going to win more. How many? Has he won 3 majors, Koepka?
I think so. Back-to-back U.S. Opens in the PGA.
Yeah, and he finished second at the match.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy, is he a Hall of Famer? I mean, legitimately, is he like a Hall of Famer?
He's on the trajectory,
yeah. And he's still in his 20s, right?
I think so. I'll pull it up here.
So yeah, man, that's really cool for him too that he's become one of the. It struck me when I saw part of Tiger's interview last night, and he kept calling him Brooksy.
Yeah, I did.
And it's like, man, that's got to be so bizarre for Koepka to have who I assume was his idol or a guy that helped get him into golf and get him interested.
The GOAT.
Calling him Brooksy. Not even Koepka. Like, not only that he knows his name, but has a nickname for him. That's just got to be pretty surreal for those guys.
He is 28. He'll be 29 on May 3rd.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for Brooksy.
Yeah, he's got to update his Wikipedia though. They got him listed at 6 foot 186. That's practically me, and he's
a little bigger than you. I think
much more jacked than I am.
But he's like he's got to be one of the top 3 in the world.
He's up there. He's up there.
It's
man.
crazy what he does with the majors.
Yeah, there's a good thread. I didn't read all of it on WarChant.com. Again, check it out. Use the promo code WarChant30. 30 free days of access. Get on the tribal council. Mix it up with your fellow brethren and sisterin. A lot of people like sniping back and forth at the people that like Tiger. Like, oh, man, I would have rooted for Tiger. Be a true no. Root for Brooks. It's like, come on. I remember my buddy. I should have the text ready. But he went to Texas Austin, and of course that's home of a one Jordan Spieth.
Right.
So Spieth and him were like battling, and I forgot what tournament it was. July 22nd, I sent the tweet out. So that's probably British Open. I think it was the British Open. And I'm like, Burnt Orange or Sunday Red? Who you pulling for, Travis? And he said, Jordan spent 1 year at Texas. The other guy has been in my life for 20. And he had a bunch of Tiger emojis. And that's it for me. Like, I played golf. Literally, I remember playing golf middle school. I know people, we'll get to Florida State stuff, I promise. Also, a reminder, it is April 16th when you're listening to this show. There's not a whole lot going on. Although we will be in Jacksonville hanging out with Willie Taggart.
Yeah, we actually
Tuesday.
will have something going on.
So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about baseball as well. But this is the slow season, so I don't want to see anybody complaining about stuff. We've been pretty good about
still entertaining no matter what we're
exactly.
talking about. And we're going to have to push the Game of Thronesian segment or whatever you call it. What'd you say? Throwing ideas?
Just thrones in it out there?
Just thrones? Oh, boy. We'll have to switch that till tomorrow or the next day. But
okay.
Let me go watch it.
Yeah. But, yeah, I remember being in middle school, like 7th grade, I first started playing golf, like 1995, and – we heard about Tiger Woods. Like, he'd won a couple of the U.S. amateurs, and you heard about him, and, like, he was supposed to be the next best thing. And then I'll always remember, like, 97. I remember us just, like, watching him just throttle everybody and win his first Masters. And it's amazing. I can't believe it. I totally – this is not going to shock anybody, obviously. I'm the negative guy. And I thought he was for sure done. I'm like, there's no way he's coming back. With all the health issues, he was missing cuts.
Yeah.
It just seemed totally improbable. And then for him to come back and win – in a leaderboard, that's got to be the most stacked leaderboard ever.
Wasn't he close to winning a couple last year? Like, I
think
the British Open. He came close to
British Open
and the PGA. I thought he might have was close, and then didn't he win the Tour
Brooksy
Championship?
pulled him away. Yeah,
Brooksy got him. So, man, I just think.
And I love that he's still rocking that horrible hair. So I don't feel as bad about keeping mine.
When it comes to if you're rooting for Florida State or rooting for Tiger, to me it was just more. It was a reflection on like mortality and life. And it brought us all. But there were two women in the car, Stephanie and one of my buddy's wives, who was also named Stephanie. And Carolyn too. So there were 3. Anyway, but it was the dudes that were talking. It was the dudes that remembered 97 and how crazy it was. Just a full cycle that him hugging his dad coming off in 97. Yeah. And where we all were in our lives in 1997, and then him hugging his son 22 years later, it just
the feels.
It was really neat. It was pretty emotional, and I'm not a huge Tiger Woods fan. Like as a human being, I don't know what kind of person he is. I mean, we had that was a decade ago. We hope he's turned some things around. But I don't know what kind of I don't even know what kind of dad he is. But it was just what kind of son he was. It was just a brother. I think he's got half brothers that never ever get talked about. Yeah. But just like as a reminder of where we are in our lives, it was a really kind of cool I don't know. It's just bizarre. Wearing almost the exact same outfit he was wearing in '97, just a lot older, and we're all a lot older. It's just it was a cool reminder, and a little sad too, a little bittersweet, I guess, that my dad was around in 1997. He's passed away. Tiger's dad's passed away. We all pass away eventually. But him hugging his kid.
Spoiler alert.
It's all gonna end. It's all gonna end, folks. It's hard to even articulate. I can't even articulate why it was so cool, but it was just cool in that moment. I don't care, honestly, if he ever wins another one.
Right.
It was cool for him to win a Masters like that. Maybe it had something to do with where I was driving to that day, going to New Orleans to celebrate a friend who was a big golf fan. But it was a really neat thing to watch with other people.
Oh, that was amazing, man. We're going to be in Jacksonville, as we said, as you're listening to this show.
I hope Brooksy wins the next 8 majors, by the way.
I want to see him break Jack's record.
Although
I love Jack.
You want to see Brooksy break Jack's
Let's see Tiger break the record, then Brooksy can break
breaks
Tiger's
his,
record.
Yeah. All right.
We'll start there one. Maybe how would we go about getting Brooks on the show? I know you're good friends with Trey Jones, the golf coach, but I feel like we need to probably go to CAA, like his agency, and just be like, "Yo."
I think we could definitely get Trey on the show, and then say, "Hey, man, by the way, put in a good word."
P.S.
Maybe get Berger on the show first.
Okay.
Kind of work our way up to Koepka.
I think
Jonas Blix.
He'd probably give Cameron Brooks before we got Brooks.
100%. Well, they have a show together on XM, so I feel like Koepka will probably do it. We could just record that interview and play it on here. We're allowed to do that, right?
Yeah, we could.
Probably no copyright infringement.
Whatever, take that. So we have to start unveiling. We don't have to. We're going to start unveiling, I guess, an interview series in the show. Like once a week, we're going to try to interview somebody. I'm going to reach out to Chris Ricks. That's who I want to. I think that should be our inaugural interview. Chris Ricks. You don't seem on board with it, Corey. Listen,
not because I have any ill will towards him. I've literally never met him.
Well,
but I feel like I've said some things that weren't nice.
Well, I have too. We're going to talk about it. We're going to work through this all.
And I feel like it got back to him some. I feel like I remember being in California for one of the Florida State games.
Oh, okay.
And
all right.
He told someone, "Hey, tell Corey and I to take it easy on me," or something like that. But I never knew him. I never met him. I speak him like almost like as a fan, like how the fans felt about him 15 years ago. But I've always said too, man, he did bust his butt. I mean, he was a tough dude.
Oh, here we go, the old DeAndre Francois argument.
But he did. He was a tough guy, man, and he did have some moments. He beat Florida a couple times.
Had some moments.
If he'd have started in 2004, he'd have beaten them in 2004 too.
Yep.
They started Sexton. So he always played well against Florida and always played terribly against Miami. But
who did play well against Miami back in those days?
Not
right?
many. Not many.
Whoever was at Virginia Tech in 2001 almost put a scare in him. Yeah, because, we talked to, we got T-Buck on the show. We had Marvin Jones on the show. We had P-Dub on the show. How many more times can we talk to P-Dub about, hey, man, you're just a legend. You're a legend. The game was legendary. Everything about you is legendary.
I feel like we do that every week. I don't think anybody have a problem with that. But we'll have Brady on the show again, obviously.
Brady
grow.
brings something to the table.
There's a lot of.
I want to get people on the show. I know people are gonna be like, well, try to get like Jameis or something. Like that'd be really cool. Probably not gonna happen. I would love to have Jameis on the show. I want to get people that were there during the struggle.
That's not a bad idea.
I
actually don't think I'd want Jameis. I don't think I'd want to interview Jameis because number one, it would be controlled. It would probably be 8 to 10 minutes.
And he just love him, everything he's done for the program. I don't feel it'd be an authentic interview.
Well, that was more my point. But not only that, I don't necessarily know if it'd be a politician where he'd have a 4-minute answer. But I just think like there's so much to cover.
Yeah.
And you can't do that with Jameis Winston in 9 minutes. Oh. And I don't think not that he wouldn't give us, I just don't think that he does. He doesn't do hour-long podcast interviews. So yeah, I don't know that I'd want him, but there's plenty of other guys from that era, even from his era, from like the 09 team, from the 99. I mean, we could go back and there's basketball players, baseball players. Probably should get some old school baseball players on as we wind down 11's career.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
And if you guys have any ideas, or more importantly, if you're friends with these people.
Yeah, if you have a Rolodex.
If you have a great Rolodex.
Everybody wants Cousin Az on to bring, Dion on the show. Listen, I don't have Dion's number.
I'd love to get Buster Posey, guys.
Okay.
So
all right.
Help us out. Somebody listening to this show has Buster Posey's phone number in their phone.
Yeah.
Somebody has to. Help us out.
Leesburg, stand up.
Yeah, man.
Hahira?
We'll take Jack Posey first. If it gets us Buster Posey. You know what I'm saying? No offense, Jack. You know I love you. Man, how tough must that have been? You think about that. Like, you always hear about, I know this is a tangent,
No,
but
it's
how it's
tangent
hard,
season, brother.
how it's hard to follow a legend, like if it's your brother. But he was on the same team, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think he was a freshman, and Buster was doing all that craziness as a junior when Jack was a freshman. And so the next year they have another Posey who kind of looks like him and has a similar stance. It had to be really hard, man, to be a Posey after that. It would have been like Stephen Drew being J.D. Drew's teammate in 97, and then everybody expected. But
we almost had it with
Stephen Drew was a little better than Jack Posey. Obviously, he was
Sod was good,
top
man.
10 pick. But it's just that had to be really, really intense.
We almost had that dynamic with Dalvin's little brother. If James Cook would have came here instead of going to Athens.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have been a teammate, right? He wouldn't have seen it all. He'd have been right afterwards, though. Yeah, that's tough, man. The footsteps are tough enough, like even as a dad 20 years later, but to be the brother 2 years later after, I mean, that has to be just a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Have we ever talked about what would have happened if Dalvin would have came back in 17?
Like how they would have been better?
Yeah, I mean, like would it have salvaged the train wreck? Obviously, Jimbo still leaves.
Man, I don't know. Because Cam Akers is good. But I guess
right.
so.
Yeah, Cam did really well.
I would think so. Because I think 16, a lot of 16 was based on Dalvin's greatness.
Oh, yeah.
So I would tend to think that it would translate in 17 too. And his WAR would at least be 2. You know, having him. Because you had to account for him. So it would have made things so much easier for a true freshman quarterback to have that guy. Now, I don't know that Dalvin, there's no way Dalvin would have had the yards he would have had the 3 previous seasons because everybody been up on the line trying to stop him because they knew he'd be getting the ball. But still, it would have helped out Blackman a ton, right?
Yeah.
But that would have been.
Yeah, Cam did really well.
But also,
17.
I think with somebody like that and Akers, you have to treat them like baseball players, man. You know they're going to be here 3 years. So it's not even realistic to even think like it's not like Cabin-Gelly leaving and you're like, man, it was close. It was 50. We all knew after Dalvin's halfway through his freshman season, man, he ain't going to be here as a senior. Same thing with Derwin.
I mean, it's part of the game, part of the business, but I miss when you could, maybe get 4 years out of a kid.
I was thinking about it, and again, we'll get to it, because we should talk about the baseball team.
We are going to talk about the baseball team.
But being like a Duke or Kentucky basketball fan, like, I know you're going to roll your eyes, and I get it, but there's some emptiness there because you don't get to know them. Like, it is really cool that we got to see Cabin-Gelly as a freshman sitting on the bench, not even dressed out because he wasn't playing, till last year when he developed slowly but started coming around and being a rotation player, made some big shots and some critical rebounds, to this year when he became a blossoming star, a breakout player. It's cool to see that development. And it's cool to get to know a player like Trent Forrest or Terrence Mann. You don't get those at Duke. Yeah. Now, you get a lot of wins and championships, and that's probably fun too. I get it at Kentucky, but you're not guaranteed of it. I mean, they just had probably the 2 top players in the draft on their team. Duke did, and they didn't get to the Final Four. So there's no guarantee. But and I know it's a lot more fun to cheer for Zion than not that he's on your team and not. I get it, but at the same time, man, imagine getting to cheer for Christian Laettner for 4 years and Grant Hill for 4 years like they all did back in the day. Or Trent Forrest and Terrence Manns. Tony Douglas for 3, Chris Singleton for 3,
Al Thornton,
Laux, Dulkes. It seems to me it's more fun that way as a fan. I don't know. More fun's probably that's not accurate. Winning a lot of games and seeing a lot of cool alley-oop dunks is fun too. But and also there have been some seniors that have come through the program that weren't all that much fun to watch. It's the halcyon days of Florida State basketball right now. So I know I'm that's painting my perspective. But the Trent Forrest, the Terrence Manns, that's fun to see that development. And at Duke, you get these kids for 5 months, and then they're gone. They're gone. They got Kyrie Irving for like 9 games.
Like if you're LSU and you had Ben Simmons, like you didn't even make it to the tournament.
Didn't make it to the tournament.
Like, do you claim him?
You do, sure.
And you do. You're like, that's our guy. It's like he did nothing.
But also like it was fun to watch, I'm sure, but it didn't really matter to amount to much. And then Durant with Texas. Again, you'd want these guys. Yeah. You want Anthony Edwards to come here instead of Georgia. But again, the Terrence, it's fun. It's more fun to me as somebody that covers the sport to follow a Terrence Mann from freshman year to senior year. It's more. I don't know. I don't even know what the word is. Than Malik Beasley. And I liked Malik Beasley. He was fun to watch. He was fun to cover. He was a cool kid. But he was here for 5 months. You didn't get to really know him. Florida State claims him, and they should. I think he's proud that he came to Florida State. He's proud that he was part of the I know he didn't make the tournament, but he kind of got that train going. But yeah, it's not the same, and it'll never be the same at a place like Duke. They'll never have those guys that just are fan favorites, unless it's the 9th player on the bench that they're happy that comes and hits a couple threes at the end. Like Jack White, maybe when he's a senior, he'll hit a couple threes and people will be all excited. But man, Florida State gets to see Trent Forrest start for 3 years. That's pretty fun.
Would Jameis been as beloved if he would have left after 13? If he could have just left after 13, we just had one season out of him? I mean, that 14, how much did that add to his legend? How much did that hurt his
it's odd.
legacy?
I don't know. Because everything became –
you should have came back in 15, Jameis. Selfish.
Well, sure.
Selfish.
I don't know. That's a good question. I think so because I just think that he won a national championship, so he's always going to – like, didn't Anthony Davis win it at Kentucky? Wasn't he one of those? So he'll always be beloved at Kentucky, even though he's there for 4 months.
All right, you want to talk about baseball or you want to talk about Jacksonville?
Let's do baseball real quick.
I don't know. Why don't we do it real quick? People
right,
think –
let's do baseball.
This upsets me. I used to be the guy that I would get upset when people would try to take focus off the football team. Like, oh, hey, look, this team's doing well. That team's like, no, I don't care. We are a football school, for better or worse. Wear that however you want to wear it, but that's the bottom line. Football team does well. That is the high tide. Everything. No one cares here if we don't place at ACCs in track and field until the end of time if we're winning national championships in football. And I used to be that guy. Just, why do we even talk about anything else besides football? Like, football is the only thing that matters. And this fan base is I mean, these are my people. People don't want to think that I'm their flesh and blood, but you are I am you, all that good stuff. Man, nobody wants to talk about baseball. And I think it is the most compelling, and it's been the most compelling storyline at Florida State for the last 3 years. I think the baseball team is, I mean, I guess maybe you can say basketball making the run to the Elite Eight. But going to Omaha 2 years ago, I think is by far more compelling. I think there's way more drama. I'm a son of immigrants, man. My parents did not. They never knew baseball. I never played ball with my dad. We didn't go, shag fly balls in the backyard or anything like that. I didn't play Little League baseball growing up. But man, college baseball, I love college baseball, and I think especially this is Mike Martin's last season. What he's chasing, what's on the line. Backs against the wall, everything that's going with the dynamic of them losing to Florida for the 11th freaking time in a row. That's probably the last time he's going to get a shot at them. All this, the backdrop, and then people like no one cares. And I can't make you care, people. I just don't understand why they don't. And you can say, well, we know how the story's going to end. I mean, but just think about the gravity of all this, man. This guy, his life's work.
Yeah.
We've said his life for 40 years. Nobody does anything for 40 years anymore in a career. Nobody does that. This has been his whole life. I mean, how many games do you think he's missed? I almost want to think about that because you just go back and add up every single season, all the wins, right? How many of those was he not in the dugout? Like, was his wife maybe pregnant with Mike Jr.? Did he have somebody in his family pass and he wasn't there for a game? Like, he's been in that been in that dugout forever.
For whatever it is, 2,800 games. I think because I was there, I was covered. It must have been Jameis's year, but the 14 year. I went on the road to every road game. Number one, to see how the crowd treated him and everything, but also if he the thinking I think was because he was a pitcher, if he blew out his elbow closing out a game in the 9th inning in Chapel Hill, we probably needed to be there for that. You know what I mean? Right. Or whatever else might happen. So anyway, I was basically on the road with the Florida State baseball team, and I think one of those games, he missed it. He was too sick to leave the hotel. And the next day, I think he said that was the first time that ever happened. Because I was wondering, okay, who gets credit for the win?
Yeah.
Meat coached, essentially. He was the – is that his first win? And I didn't know how that worked, but obviously they gave it to 11. But, yeah, I think he said that was the first or the second time. It was a really, really low number.
For 40 years.
Yeah, that just would not. And, there's all days when nobody wants to get out of bed.
Yes.
So
he's the winningest coach in NCAA history in any sport.
Sure, and he's retiring in a month.
He's yours, people. He's your coach.
He's done in 6 weeks. I think the problem with this year, for me anyway, trying to talk about it or write about it, and we try not to do a ton of either, is because it was so bad, and they were so bad. Whatever they were, 7-13 in a 20-game stretch, that it's like, okay, we're going to talk about his last year, and we're just going to crush his program, and we're going to, like I did after they lost to Florida. more like a 10-minute rant about these guys don't deserve to be the team that doesn't get to
well, if they're going
to
to play like that, they did.
No, I know, but it's like you guys don't deserve – it's almost like you didn't deserve to wear the garnet, man. What is going on with you guys? Figure it out. So it was one of those rants, and I feel like that kind of really – I don't know. I think it kind of rallied the troops. I think they must have listened to that as a team in the clubhouse on Friday night before Parrish probably listened to it every morning when he woke up. Just me, on a rampage about when is somebody going to get a big hit? Is that possible? Y'all allowed to do that?
Can somebody go more than 5 innings? Can we get a quality start out of somebody?
Does anybody have onions? Have they seen onions anywhere that they can put in a bag and just disperse amongst the team? Like it was bizarre. So I did that. Obviously the team kind of used that as their rallying cry and came back and swept Clemson. But yeah, man, it is like we get what college baseball is and we get where it is in the pantheon of what we do and in college sports in general. But it's not as important as football. It's not as important as basketball. Money-wise,
what are we going to talk about football? I love football. Corey. What am I talking about right now, man?
But I also don't think that that can't be a huge majority that is like, man, why aren't y'all talking about football? Because it's April, man.
They are. And listen, I'm with you. Like I want to talk about football, but I can't. We're going to talk about it here in a minute. But what are we going to ask Willie Taggart at Top Golf on Tuesday?
You're making fun of yourself. Is that
I am making fun of myself.
Of you?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't very good.
That's all you want me to talk about. Yeah. No, I should use a little high pitch.
Like a little Jay Leno.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. I think baseball is the most compelling storyline going on now at Florida State. I think it has for the last few years. The fact they come back against Clemson, backs against the wall against Florida, we thought that was now or never, do or die sort of moment for them, and they died right there, 11th straight time against Florida. And then you have Clemson come to town, 16th ranked Clemson, really good offense, and you're searching for answers. And I mean, good grief, just I don't know. We can say that it was, I guess, Drew Parrish, man. I mean, Drew Parrish finally. I mean, he had a really good outing against Notre Dame, and I thought maybe he figured it out. And then I think the following week was Boston College, and he didn't have a good week.
Yeah, he made it out of the second inning against Boston College.
Miami, he was rolling for 4 innings and then allowed a grand slam, and you're just like, he's just not going to get it right. But he credit to the fact that he was able to get ahead in counts early, was able to work his fastball inside and outside, have good command of that. He went 8 innings.
Yeah.
Season long, that was.
And struck out the side in his last inning.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Oh, that was all. Was that the 8th inning? He did that.
Inning, yeah.
I think the 7th inning, he had a full count. I think they might have had a runner on, and it felt like if he doesn't get out of this, if he doesn't get an out here, he's probably not going to finish out, this inning, obviously. And he got a strikeout. And he's pretty stoic. And I saw him get jacked. I was like, all right, this is good. And then he comes back to the 8th inning and strikes out the side. So the fact that he's, like you said, playing like the preseason All-American he was, a huge lift. And that comes off Connor Grady really doing well against Florida on Wednesday.
Which was kind of lost.
That was the longest start of the year by starting pitcher for Florida State.
Which is crazy in a midweek game by a guy that doesn't start. And in my rant about guys not stepping up, I don't think I mentioned him, but I should because he did. He pitched well on Tuesday, really well in a game that really mattered. And then he came back on Sunday and did what he did. Like 8 strikeouts or something. And I mean, that's now all of a sudden. We can't. I hate being this reactionary, like to a loss, like I was to Florida, although it was 11 in a row, and it was the same. It was just the same blueprint. It's the same blueprint. So you're tight. You're in a close, tight game. They get a bloop hit. You don't get any hits that matter in the games. I've seen it for 4 or 5 straight years now. But for him to do what he did Tuesday and then to come back on Sunday, all of a sudden you're like, okay, well if Parrish can be that guy, and it's an enormous if. But if Parrish is that guy, if Van Eyck is somewhat what he was, I mean, he wasn't.
He went 8 innings as well.
He was. No, I mean, he's been better than Parrish, but neither one of them been what they thought they were going to be. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they as in themselves, they thought they were both going to be All-Americans. And if they have found something, if something is clicked, if they're just looser, if they're just better because it's warmer, whatever the case may be, if this can be what they have moving forward, and that's a huge if, they were just 1 start each, along with what Grady has been. And, Drohan can give – I mean, all of a sudden you're like, okay, I can see a path now. Yeah. You have 3 legitimate starting pitchers that can dominate. Like, they don't dominate every game, but if they can be dominant and go – if you can pencil in 6 innings, 7 innings, and 2 runs for those 3 guys, okay. And then Mendoza, coming through with
Welcome
some big
back.
hits.
Welcome to the season.
Man, he let out, and that was one. I don't even know if you were there and I don't say that because you were there all weekend, but I don't know if you'd gotten there when he hit his home run in the first game.
No, I did not. I was there.
Number one, it was great to see opposite field.
Yeah,
I mean, you got that, dude. People forget, or I don't know if they forget. I'd forgotten. He hit I think he hit 3 home runs in Omaha as a freshman, and 2 of them were to left center field.
Yeah.
I mean, Oppo. He's got great Oppo power. That's where all the big bucks come from, is the kids that can hit Oppo. And so if he can get back into that, driving the ball hard to all fields. But what my point was, so they took that, they were up 1-0, and I think there was 2 outs when he did that. He hits the 3-run homer off the scoreboard and lets out a huge fist pump as he's rounding the bases. And I'm like, all right, man, it matters to these guys. That matters. I don't think that was just, hey, I hit a home run, I'm fired up. I think that was this was huge for my team. Mm-hmm. My team needed a 2-out hit, and I just gave him a 3-run homer. That's enormous for me. That's enormous for this team. And I think that they kind of fed off that, and he fed off that. So, again, it's one series, but it's good to know it's there. I didn't even know that was there.
It was a sweep. I thought, again, the sweep was really important. We were talking about it on Saturday. Kurt Wilder from the Democrat was up there, and it was 16-2 on Saturday, so the game was well decided. And he's like, "Oh, it was a big deal. They got the series win." I'm like, they need to get a sweep though. I mean, they need to put foot down on pedal, hand on the throw, whatever analogy you want to use, because they got to get this thing rolling. I mean, they have to stack not only series wins, sweep a couple teams in this ACC slate you have left. I mean, they've got Wake Forest, Pitt. They're at the bottom of the conference. They should sweep those teams. Be the team that you're built to be. And,
because they still got Louisville and Virginia left too. Yeah. So
I think this isn't your uncle's Virginia or your cousin's Virginia.
Your older brother's Virginia.
Yeah, your older brother's Virginia. They're a little bit more. They've come back down to earth a little bit, I guess you could say. Brian O'Connor and those guys. But that was huge, man. That was huge to sweep Clemson the way they did.
Didn't it? I was going to say, I didn't even know that was in them. I didn't know that was even possible to look like how they looked. I just thought, so now at least you know what the ceiling kind of looks like.
Well, if they put
dominant
it together.
Pitching. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Dominant pitching. I think the fielding was pretty good.
That was good enough.
And then the hitting. Timely hits. Cabell got a couple hits. Yep. Maybe he can start feeling – they moved him down to 9, which they should have done probably a little while ago. He was just a dead out in the middle of the lineup, but they did. That seemed to help him. They just got they got hits up and down the lineup. Yeah. Guys came through with big hits, and so you see, what can they be? And it goes back to the whole Florida State basketball team. That's why I was so bummed out, is we knew it, that we saw their ceiling, and they didn't get to do that in the postseason. Well, now at least we've seen what appears to be a pretty good ceiling. I mean, Clemson's not a great team, obviously, but that's a good team that you just swept and outscored them by 23 runs, whatever it was. 20 runs in 3 games. That's at least they know that that's in them now. Mm-hmm. So maybe they can find it again when it matters.
Yeah, I think the fact that they had the series won and then Sunday was nip tuck, but they came back and won. I think that's a big deal too, because you could be like, all right, we won the series. That's all that really matters. Whatever, we got a quick turnaround and we got to get on the road to play Virginia, because that's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit unconventional, but whatever. I think that's a big deal. It matters to them. And I know some people are like, we got to get rid of it. I love the threads that are like, we got to get Mike Martin out of here. It's like, just wait. He's
out.
Leaving.
But he could be out. Even if you hoist up a trophy in Omaha, he's out.
He's gone, everybody. It's just it's bizarre, man. But yeah, they look good, man. I'm much more optimistic.
I'm cautiously optimistic, but I was over the top pessimistic 4 days ago, and now I'm cautiously optimistic. So that's what a sweep of Clemson can do.
Yep. So again, they'll take Virginia on up in Charlottesville Thursday through Saturday. So
by the way, real quick, because it just occurred to me, shout out to, and I'm terrible at names, I think he said his name was Tyler. I was at the Braves game on Thursday night with my kid. His team was there as a team thing, and he saw me go. I think I was going to get a beer, and he said, "Corey Clark." And I was at SunTrust in Atlanta. I'm like, yeah. He goes, my name's I'm
Mr. Worldwide.
I'm putting in quotes. My name's Tyler. I think he said Tyler. I just wanted to say I'm a big fan. I listen every morning. I was like, oh, man. So he just moved to Atlanta. He went to school in Florida State, but he just moved to Atlanta.
That's where we all go.
Yeah, man. It's a good place to live. The traffic is Brady heard, because we had to get there early so we could walk the field, do the dumb walk in the field, the parade of the teams. So we had to get there early, and Brady heard some words in a different order that he's heard those words before, because I'll get angry every now and again, but in an order and maybe with other words associated with those words that he'd never heard before, connected to him, he'd never heard before, because that traffic It drives. I mean, I don't understand how you. I'm sure there are people that listen to this now in traffic. I don't know how you do it. It's impossible. It's impossible to live like that. I wanted to, and I had my son in the car. I just wanted to steer in oncoming traffic. It drives you nuts.
Oh, man. I was trying to get into Publix at like 5:45 on Monday, and it was an absolute quagmire. And then just like I kind of took a breath. I'm like, what does Corey have to deal with whenever he's up in Buford?
But see, that's all right up there in that area. But trying to get to my house in Gwinnett County to not Turner Field, SunTrust.
There'll always be Turner Field to me.
I know, right? Well, it'll all be Atlanta, Fulton County to me.
That.
It's impossible. It's like 32 miles away, and it was an hour and 40 minutes. Yeah. Imagine that. And the first hour the first 35 minutes, you're just
smooth sailing.
Smoothing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, oh, cool. It's just on my little phone app. It's just red.
Yeah.
Just red. The whole path is red for the next, hour. But yeah, so I want to give a shout out to Tyler. We appreciate you listening. Anybody that listens, but I thought it was cool that he was in Atlanta and came up and saw me. What a cool moment it must have been for him, too.
Right.
When you think
See
about
Corey
it.
Clark out in the flesh,
Out
man.
in the flesh. It's crazy. Is he here? Is this really happening? Is this a hologram?
Speaking of traffic, we'll be broadcasting the next show. We'll do one tomorrow. No days off. From quite possibly the most beautiful stretch of national interstate that we have in this great country of ours, and that's I-10 between Jacksonville and Tallahassee.
So we're going to be in the car doing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You guys always want to keep things going.
Sure,
yeah.
Tick,
tick, tick, tick. So we'll record on the way back.
We'll tell the people why we're going to be in Jacksonville.
We're going to be in Jacksonville to hang out with your head football coach, Willie Taggart, as well as Jacksonville native and, quote, unquote, the most improved player this spring, DJ Matthews. They're going to be at Topgolf as part of the Seminole Boosters Tour, the spring tour. Or I don't know what the official name of it is these days, but the spring booster tour is going down.
Right.
Willie's going to be
That's the first one, right?
It is.
The first
it
one?
is.
Yeah.
It's going to be at 10531. I hate 5-digit addresses.
Yeah, get it together. You don't need 5.
10531 Brighton
Is there a
Boulevard.
10530?
I don't know. It's Topgolf in Jacksonville, folks. The program starts at 7 p.m. I'm not even allowed to film it. Video is not permitted during the program. So that's going to be good. I'm sure he's going to probably give a really good speech, and that's why they don't want us to film it. But anyhow.
But I can record it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, you can
audio,
but no video. Yeah. So anyhow, Willie, DJ Matthews will be at Topgolf. I assume it's not free. You probably have to spend a little bit of money to get in there. But support your program, support your coach, support your third or second favorite
Willie.
wide
I
receiver.
guess we get Willie and DJ.
We do. There's immediate availability.
I don't really know. I know you.
I've never been to Topgolf.
I haven't either.
Man.
I'm fired up about it.
I want to challenge. I want to challenge Willie. I want to put something on the line. Like if I outdrive you, you got to do this. If I outdrive you, Garnet and Gold, all 13 games next season.
And you like the white numbers? You want the white numbers back?
I want the white numbers back.
Well, I feel like that should be like one drive for the white numbers.
Okay. And then
you'd be a hero if that happened.
Man.
Well,
then
unless you lost.
Oh yeah. Well, then people don't like me already to start with. I mean, what do I got to lose? Let's do this.
That's a good point.
Double or nothing.
But I don't know. I don't really know what to ask him other than I'm genuinely curious what he thought of the offensive line after he watched it. Like, could he see a path to having a good offensive line? Did he see enough from different guys? Because again, they weren't in the grouping they'll be in when the season starts to think that he'll be that they'll be competent there. And then how good were the quarterbacks when you went and watched? But it's also, and I'm not saying Willie lies, but there is coach speak involved. It's not like there's no way he'd be, look, it wasn't nearly as good as we thought. The offensive line, it looks like it might be a disaster again, guys. Hold on. Hold the fort. This guy's not a miracle worker. He's good, but these guys, they're not ready. I mean, I don't think we're going to hear that, especially as you're trying to drum up interest on a booster tour. So, yeah, I think more than anything, I think it'll be interesting, assuming we're allowed to stay, which I assume we are, to hear his speech to the people that pay the bills, because they matter more than we do.
Did you go on any of the stops last year?
No, I've been to them before, but I didn't go under the. Yeah, and also so I didn't go to any of them last year, so I wouldn't be able to point out the difference between last year and this year.
Ira and I and Gene, we went to. I think Ira and I went to Panama City and I went to Jacksonville. I think somebody might have gone to the one in Orlando. But yeah, we went to a bunch of them. So yeah, I mean, there's only really so much he can say. So I mean, I'm not gonna, I won't read too much into it, but it will be interesting to ask him, after he has been able to watch film now.
Or I assume they'll have question and answer sessions too with some of the people there, and I'd be interested to see what gets asked and how he answers things.
Ask the tough questions, people.
Now's your chance.
So, yeah, you keep bothering us. You guys are the worst. Our media.
I feel like one question should be like somebody should just stand up and be like, Willie, about last year, what the was that? Oh, do you probably have to edit that out? Sorry, man. Write that down. But
time code that one out.
But yeah, like just keep it real, folks. Just one time. Just big picture it. Like we're not gonna see that again, are we?
Oh man. Well, because he was excited about it. Remember, again, that was the whole thing about last year that caught us by surprise. And it wasn't even the booster stops. It was just asking them, like, the offensive line, I think you guys are going to be surprised. But I don't think he meant, like, in a negative connotation.
You're going to be stunned.
You're going to be stunned how horrible it is. But, yeah, I'm curious to see what he will say about the offensive line. Maybe he can give us a couple names of guys that stood out because obviously he will see the tape. The one thing I will say, and we did mention it a little bit, and, you kind of – I poked fun at you for how you presented it on the War Chant wrap-up video that you and Ira shot. But we were so lost in the whole festive atmosphere in the 18 spring game, his first one, with just the way, the dynamics, the optics, the love, all that good stuff, the vibe. It was a pretty shoddy spring game. Like, they didn't look good. It was very discombobulated, and
Well, your eventual starting quarterback didn't even play, and the guy you thought was battling for the starting quarterback spot in Blackman did not play well. Bailey Hockman was better than him. So that
marginally too. You didn't walk out there thinking, "Oh man, look at these."
No.
But you didn't care. Like, whatever, man. Just new offense, first year, it's all good. And then it wasn't all good
at all.
And this past, a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, or whatever it was, they look good. I mean, whatever you want to say. And again, I'm not too worried about the defense. I mean, I am worried about the defense, but I'm not going to sit here and sound fire alarms about it. I don't know how much of it might have been, again, kind of grooved for the offense to be able to get out there and hit stuff because, golly, the way the field was wide open in the middle was ridiculous. But the fact is they took advantage of it. There was a couple missed throws, maybe a couple drops, but guys know where to go with the ball. James Blackman wasn't one of those crazy 5 Mississippi counts that he would have been sacked and buried against Clemson. Quick decisions were being made. Guys were getting open. Crisp routes, no false starts, no procedural penalties. So the fact that they were able to put that together in a live environment in front of the fans, I think is an encouraging sign. And it's really all we have to go on right now. But for sure, you compare that to last year's spring game, I think you see a much more organized, much more smoother running offense. And maybe we'll ask them about the defense. So why was the middle of the field open for the better part of a quarter and a half? And it may have an explanation for it. And they're like, okay, well, that's not that big of a deal then.
Yeah, but again, I think the bigger deal is offense. Just for this thing to get flipped around, the offense it's the offense first. Then defense, then special teams. Now, special teams was awful last year, but I don't think it cost them – I don't know how many games it cost them.
Right.
The offense being –
you go 3 and out, and then your punt team,
that doesn't
downs
help.
the ball 20 yards early.
Yeah.
It just irritates
all that,
the hell out
or
of
you have to punt 5 yards back because you don't have enough guys on the field, or you have too many guys on the field, I guess, would be the penalty. But, I just think offense is what cost them most of their games last year. They just – even the Miami game, they scored 20 points, but they had a 27-7 lead and the ball, and then all of a sudden they just start giving the ball to Miami at their own, at their 15-yard line. The offense lost all their games, the Syracuse game. Like the defense gave up at the end,
right?
But the offense didn't do anything the whole game. The offense didn't do anything in the whole game against Virginia Tech. The offense was abysmal against Clemson. Now, it wouldn't have mattered, but the offense was abysmal against every game. The offense was the reason, except for what? Like NC State maybe. No. And even then, I think they had 7 at half.
Yeah, if James had a bad pick.
But it's the offense, man. Get the offense to be sort of high-flying.
Especially when all your coaching resources are on the offensive side.
So that's why I think people – because, the spring games are always – there's a certain way to watch them because when the offense does well, the defense does bad. Well, it's the same team, so that's not a great thing. But in this instance, I think everybody – needed to see and wanted to see the offense look kind of like it did in that spring game. I just think that's more important. I think that's the most important thing to get fixed by a pretty wide margin. The defense could come around. Even if it does it, you're allowed to outscore teams. Mm-hmm. Maybe you give up 32, but you score 44. Like, okay, you have to be an offense that can put up a ton of points and put up a ton of yards. You can't win. You just can't win, as we saw, with an offense that can't even be counted on to get 2 first downs in a row. So that was good to see. I agree with you. I think that was the biggest thing. I think you take a lot more away from that than you do the defense giving up some big plays.
It was crazy. I was thinking, obviously DJ is going to be out there with him because that's home for DJ, although school is still in session. Like, how many Jacksonville guys are on the team? I thought there's not a lot of Jacksonville kids on the team.
Nigel Carr still on the team? No. Avis
Eric
Comack.
Beverly?
Yeah. Brutus Brutus is off the team now.
No, Brutus, I think he was Treasure Coast. He was like Fort
right.
Pierce, my ancestral homeland.
Yeah. Do you know who probably the best
Maybe
Jacksonville
Anthony
player
Baselli?
is? From
of all time.
In Florida State history from
Best
Jacksonville
player.
I got two candidates, but I'm sure I'm not thinking of one. I'm sure there's like five that I'm not thinking of.
Jacksonville. Lamar Lewis?
Close. I was going to say Leroy Butler.
Okay.
He was from Jacksonville. Edgar Bennett was from Jacksonville. Those are both two guys.
Are two damn good
and we're in the
players.
NFL forever. Like Leroy Butler's like a fringe Hall of Famer in the NFL. He probably should be.
We'll try to get him on the show.
Actually, we should. I follow him on Twitter. He seems like a fun guy. He seems to be enjoying retirement. I can certainly talk about that punt Ruski for 45 minutes.
There we go.
But also, he's the one that did the Lambeau leap.
Mm-hmm.
He was like the NFL safety all decade for the 90s. Yep. I mean, he was a really good. It's not. He's probably closer to the Hall of Fame than like a Warwick Dunn.
Mm-hmm. He might be one of those legends guys that gets in.
I think
at a certain point, like your peers vote you in as opposed to the writers.
I think Boldin probably has the next best chance for a Florida State player.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I hope it does.
I mean, he's got so, and I think he's a guy that definitely might get in like that because I think he's so respected.
Right.
And also, hey, NFL, the dude was the NFL Man of the Year. How about that mattering some? Like, I know you can't say, oh, he was a great player, but you can't be like, well, Trent Dilfer did all this great stuff. He should be in the Hall of Fame. All this stuff off the field. I know it doesn't matter. But when it's really, really close, like a Warwick Dunn or an Anquan Boldin, maybe that stuff off the field where they're really good people and would be great ambassadors for your league, maybe that could get them over the top. The fact that Warwick Dunn has bought 145 now families for single moms, houses. Not families. That would be a criminal. I think that would be probably a felony.
Might want to get a hold of Robert Kraft's attorney.
Human trafficking. Yeah. Maybe that could matter. Maybe Warwick Dunn could get in the Hall of Fame because of what he's done off the field, on top of rushing for 10,000 yards.
You know what I'll always remember Anquan by, oddly enough, all the great things that he's done in his career. I'll just remember him getting murdered at the Meadowlands when I think he was with the Cardinals, the Jets in the end zone where he just got literally broke his face.
Yeah.
Like his jaw, he was just out cold. And
did he catch the ball?
I don't recall. Maybe you should look that up as I tell the rest of this anecdote.
Oh, yeah, I will.
Because you're so enamored with the freaking Mets and the Phillies in the middle of April. Come on. What, are we looking at the standings already? We're the Braves right now. How many games back are they?
They're all right. I think they're close to the top. They're 9-6.
Well, just the fact that, obviously that was kind of – we were starting to understand the effects of head injuries, and you're like, good grief, he's done. He's not coming back for a long time. And he came back later in the season. I think he came back maybe 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. Something absurd where you're like, there's no way you could come back and play contact sports after enduring something like this. And he came back like a few weeks later and was like, he's such a dude. Anquan is the dude. And that poor guy, just peak of his athletic career at Florida State was spent at the beginning of the lost decade. Man, it hurts my feelings. Poor Quan.
Oh no, he did. So it was.
He got murdered.
It was Kurt. It was the Jets. Kurt Warner threw the pass.
Yeah. It was against the Jets.
Yeah, the ball was high, and as Boldin reeled it in, he was hit from behind by safety Kerry Rhodes.
Oh yeah.
Boldin's chin dropped, his helmet lifted, and the momentum drove him into the face mask of a charging Smith. He did not twitch at seeing himself crash to the turf, the ball trickling out of his hands as he fell. Yeah, man, and he came back and played another decade. He was, I remember people think Herb Street hates Florida State. They think everybody hates Florida State. The game
before I say, do people not remember how much he would gush about Jimbo and Jameis every third? Because they'd be here on Thursdays when there'd be a game. And when they would do game day, they'd be here on Thursday. Like, all they do was the 1 minute drill, 2 minute drill. This is quintessential Jimbo. He practices all the time. Just go back and listen to the national championship game.
Now Fowler might be a little different. I do think there's
you guys always tweet at Fowler and call him a jerk.
I
do think there's nice to you
I think there's something weird with Fowler, but I just don't know how nice a person Fowler is. I don't even know. I have no basis of that. I don't know that he's like a real jovial guy. He seems really serious. He's also a tennis guy. You can't trust those tennis guys.
You cannot trust them, except for Tennis Ump.
But it was the Louisville game up in the rain they lost in overtime when Tirico lost his mind.
Dave Ragone, jerk.
But in that game, Boldin has a crackback block on Louisville's like badass defensive end. I don't remember who it was. And just flattens him. And Herbstreit loses his mind. He's so excited. He's like, that's football. That's what I'm just over and over again. So, yeah, man, Boldin was just such a tough dude. He couldn't outrun you. But he was such a tough dude. And he was the hands. He played in the Super Bowl. He won a Super Bowl. He had a couple of touchdown catches in the Super Bowl. Get Anquan in the Hall of Fame. And he's a NFL Man of the Year. 2 years ago, he was NFL Man of the Year. That should count. That should be on his plaque.
I think I'm about to find out the answer on here. I want to see how many games he missed, man.
Oh, I was just in that. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Oh, 2 games.
Yeah.
On October 2nd, 4 days after the Jets game and 1 day before his 28th birthday, he had surgery for a fractured sinus membrane, which required 7 plates and 40 screws to fix, but remarkably caused him to miss only 2 games.
Yeah.
What a human being. Maybe we should try to get him on the show, too.
And I guess that was a good Cardinals team, right? That might have been the Super Bowl Cardinals team. I was going to say he was doing that for the crappy Cardinals.
2008.
Isn't that when they lost to the Steelers? Or maybe that was a couple years after that?
Oh, that could have been. I think that might have been the year after, because I'm pretty sure that was 2007.
Or 6.
It doesn't matter.
Anyway, Anquan Boldin's awesome. All-time great and old. Needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
By the way, that was the last Super Bowl that was in Tampa Bay. It was the Steelers and the Cardinals, and that was in the teeth of the global recession, downturn of the economy, and it was the worst matchup. It was Steelers, which traveled well, but it was the Cardinals, like nobody came. And I was so upset because I was actually living in Tampa proper at that time. I'm like, oh, this is going to be great, and it was so underwhelming that I'm like, the NFL owes Tampa. Like, they need to give us another Super Bowl soon, and I think they actually are.
It was a great game, though.
It was a fantastic game, but it was like, man, like it was a bad time in the economy. Like no one was traveling for that game. I remember I'm like, this is it. Like I thought this whole place was going to go off the meter, but didn't have to wait as long for my lap dance at Mon, so that was kind of a good thing. All right, let's get on the road. We're going to go hang out with Willie Taggart. We'll report back to you. He's Corey Maslow. Thanks for listening, everybody.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.